Greetings YouTube, it's the Brain Damage Gamer here, and I have a BDG review for everyone. I'm going to be reviewing Mass Effect today, Andromeda. Just a little bit of backstory. For those people who've been around the channel for a bit, you may have heard me talk about this in the past. I am notorious for not finishing games. I get them to quite literally somewhere the 75 or 90% mark, and then something else comes along, or I switch games, or I get tired of that genre, whatever it may be. I'm bad about that. I do it pretty frequently. That said, the Mass Effect games, I have finished all of the previous ones completely, start to finish. Those games were captivating enough that I not only had my attention held for them, but I literally went from one end to the other on every single one of them after I purchased it. Mass Effect Andromeda, this is probably not going to happen for the simple fact that it's already very quickly losing my interest. I was kind of hoping that I would get an experience similar to the first, maybe even the second Mass Effect, where I would kind of get drawn into the story and it'd have an ending for that little subsection of the series that I would be alright with. I'm not going to do a bit on Mass Effect 3's ending because that would be a whole episode in itself for the creative vision that they had for that ending. That said, that's about the only excuse I could think of BioWare coming up with for why this game is this terrible, because it's pretty bad. Unless that's their artistic vision for this to be a terrible game, in which case they succeeded immensely, and congratulations. I don't think that's the case, though. Me, personally, I'm going to go with this is probably just they ended up on EA time and decided to push out a game that, despite being in development for what I believe is 5 years and being paid roughly $40 million for the developmental costs of, it's not finished. And that's a heck of a trick. So let's go ahead and go into the good and the bad on this. Good. The scanning system, the little scanner, love it. That's an interesting little addition to the game. It can lead to some unique experiences, though, because there's some areas where people get upset when you use it.
It's just a scanner.
Put it away now.
Take it easy.
Enjoy the guns. For now, that's all you have access to.
And as you can see, I was a little bit irritated there, so I just used my scanner repeatedly. Because, screw you, I'm scanning this if I want to. The Galaxy Map. The Galaxy Map, I enjoyed the Galaxy Map quite a bit. It's fun to navigate with. It really gives you that sense of movement within space. In some ways, it kind of reminded me of Elite Dangerous, or even to a lesser extent Star Citizen, with actually feeling like you're moving around celestial bodies. It was a very interesting map system. I liked it. The combat itself, when the combat works, the combat is fast, it's pretty fluid. The addition of the jump jets and the ability to do the dashes with the jump jet system, that was all great stuff in my opinion, and it really adds to the flavor of the combat. The catch-22 of that we'll get to in just a minute, though. And this is the last, and I hate to say it, this is literally the last good point I could really think of. And I was really kind of stretching for a good point at this point. When everyone's wearing their helmets and talking, the dialogue's not too bad, and it's interesting conversations. You notice I said when everybody's wearing their helmets. Let's go ahead and get into the facial animations. And with that, into the bad of this game. Face animations. These things look like they belong in the 90s. And I say that quite literally. I'm going to be showing clips of a 90s TV show, Reboot. Hopefully some of you are familiar with that out there. If not, go look it up. It's not aged well in how it looks, but it was a very unique look at gaming culture back in the early 90s when it was really starting to become a thing. And at the same time, the people who created the show said, hey, let's go full 3D animation from computers. And it's all 3D graphics of that era, which means there's a lot of flat individual colors for faces and things like that. But if you look at the lip movement and you look at the eyes even...
The whole sector's nullified! Offline!
Well, it wasn't your fault. There was nothing you or we could do.
It's got really high quality facial animation. compared to games like Mass Effect Andromeda.
Seriously?
Settle down. Right is right. There's an Angara right here. Let's hear from the new guy.
And that's a sad, sad day when the first full 30-minute length cartoon that was animated with only computers looks better for their animation than your video game does.
Mega binary idea.
You be careful, Guardian Bob. I've seen that look on young sprites before.
With me. Well, congratulate yourself. No one has ever so successfully dodged my attempts to get to know them.
Yes! I'm #1!
Not only is the lip syncing bad, but my big question is, what's going up with the characters' eyes? There's quite a few times I'm watching the characters as they do things with their eyes, and their eyes are just bouncing everywhere. It's crazy. On top of the bad lip syncing, there's also random movements that make no sense. Why the characters' mouths are moving at this time? Why are they making those mouth shapes randomly?
Here, here! Copy and paste that!
Why are people doing things with their hands that make no sense? There's all these times where it's almost like the animator's like, we can't have stillness at any point in time during any of the shots of the different characters, so they have to be moving constantly. And that's what they did. They just constantly made them move for no apparent reason. If you try to use a controller to play this, I play PC version. I always try to put that out there for everyone. If you try to use a controller with that, and any of the PC people who have tried to do so, or any of you console players out there playing the console version of the game, you've probably noticed that the dialogue wheel is really finicky if you try to use a controller for it. I did both, where I did mouse and keyboard and also the controller, and none of them were really all that useful in my opinion. The logical dialogue choices. They claim to be logical, but half the time it seems like the person is just whining. You'll see it says, yes, this is a logical choice to make, and has something indicating it be logical, or even professional. Some of the professional ones do this too, where you're like, all right, we have to invade this area. And instead of it coming out sounding like you're tough and strong and you've got a logical plan, or you're being professional, it's...
Pathfinder, it's your call.
Don't know yet. Just be ready to go at a moment's notice. Got it?
You're only making things difficult.
Something I don't have any footage for, but motion, blur, and bloom cannot be turned off as of filming this. It cannot be turned off unless you manually go and modify configuration files. You can't do it in-game. That is asinine for a game that is produced in 2017. I mean, at this point, day one, we should be able to make modifications to these options. There's no excuse. None. There's a lot of this game that's a reskin. There's huge sections of this game that you're looking at it and going, this looks vaguely familiar. The Ket are quite obviously a reskin of the Protheans. The Tempest is quite obviously a reskin of the Normandy. But apparently whoever designed this, let's be honest, the only thing I can think is somebody walked up to them and said, hey, you know how the Normandy looked vaguely like a space penis? We need more space penis. Make this look like the most dong that ever donged. And it doesn't help that not only did they do that with the ship you're flying, a lot of the Ket base ships look the same. Where there's actually one scene where it looks like you're being chased by a different kind of penis. It's just pointing straight down.
Alpha wing clear of deck. Proceed heading 1138. Stay frosty.
There's a ton of different bugs, all sorts of different kinds. Everything from simple things like trying to change your character's outfit color. If you go into the menu for that and attempt to manually change it, unless you do the right sequence of hitting the appropriate buttons, it doesn't save. There's no just hit save and off you go button for it. Poorly thought out. Tiny spoiler, just letting everybody know. The first Pathfinder dies quite stupidly. They've already shown it in footage. You've probably already seen it if you haven't played the game, where the character you're playing falls and hits their helmet and they can't breathe on the plant they're on. The other Pathfinder comes up. It's like, oh, well, there you go. And that's apparently how they die, because they don't have a helmet. Now, having been a scuba diver, there's this concept of tandem breathing, where I would, oh wow, yeah, this is something happened. All right, well, here, put the helmet on, take a bunch of breaths, hold your breath, thank you. I take some breaths, I hold my breath, back and forth. It's very simple. The best part is, even as all this is going on, you hear in the background your ship calling and going, we're going to get somebody to you. It's going to be 4 or 5 minutes out. You got to hold on. You mean you can't tandem breathe for 4 or 5 minutes? Really? Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I'm probably going to get a decent amount of flack for it. BioWare doesn't know how to write. They write very, very thin stories a lot of time. If it wasn't for how engaging the games typically are, I don't think they'd be as big of a company as they currently are. And they basically write the exact same story every time. It's, you are the special character, whatever it is. And as the special character, everywhere you go, people are going to be like, oh, you're the insert special character name here. And I think you're amazing, awesome, or I hate you. And because I know about you being the special character, I'm going to have you do X, Y, or Z, or we need you to do this, otherwise we all die. It's literally the exact same thing over and over again. And they always do the heavy emphasis on naming what your character is, or calling your character by that special name every time. It's kind of crazy that they've been able to do this for so long, and most people haven't even noticed it. If you go back to Dragon Age, oh, you're the Grey Warden. We need you to do blah, 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 blah. If you go into the Mass Effect games, the first set, oh, you're the Spectre. Oh, wow, we need you to da-da-da-da-da-da. In this one, oh, you're the Pathfinder. We need you to da-da-da-da-da.
Having a friend like you.
A wise decision, Guardian. I won't disappoint you.
And they still haven't figured out how to work out endings. They screwed up the ending so bad of Mass Effect 3 that they had to send you 700 years into the future and across the galaxy to not have to deal with anything involving the previous ending, because they knew that they could not write their way out of how badly they screwed that ending up. Let's be perfectly honest. That's the reason that they have the current story that they do.
The Milky Way was just a corner of a vast universe, a corner of a tiny corner. We're the ones who got to step out of that corner. It's incredible.
Now, Bob, must we go through all these dramatics again?
There's entire times that you go to load in sections of the game, or you'll be driving along and you'll look at something and be like, why does that look so weird? And you'll get closer and realize there's no textures on it because they didn't load in. And unfortunately, this is something that happens at a pretty frequent occurrence, and that's kind of sad, to be perfectly honest. This game can't even handle you moving at a moderate speed across its landscape. AI bugs are plentiful. There's all sorts of problems with the AI not recognizing you're there. I found that the best way to play this game is get a sniper rifle and shoot things from as far away as possible, because the AI just doesn't notice that you're shooting their friends. And you can do that a lot. you can wipe out entire groups of enemies before they even realize that, oh,
there's more than one up there.
All of the other people have been shot and killed. Maybe I should do something about this. The pathing for your friend AIs isn't much better. I found that they decided they wanted to walk on water. So, of course, I was like, I wonder if I could do that too. I actually found that in some areas, if I hold the control key, you can just walk out into water like it's no big deal. So apparently your character is not just an analogy for Jesus. Apparently they actually do walk on water. But all of that said, we've added all the positives and negatives. As you can tell, there's a lot more negative about this game than positive. And unfortunately, it's a game I do not recommend to a lot of people to buy. I would give this game a solid 4 out of 10. It is not finished. It has significant issues. I originally was going to give it a 5 out of 10. I unfortunately found the multiplayer, the microtransactions in it are just ridiculous. US, you can spend $120 at once on the microtransaction credit coins, whatever the hell they are, and they will give you packs that you can unlock to use only in multiplayer, and multiplayer's only horde mode. They have only a few maps as well. So a half-finished multiplayer, but man, got to make sure those microtransactions work because they are fully functioning, thank you. And you can spend twice as much as you probably spent on the game and get useless stuff that you would also get from regular drops from playing multiplayer. It's not even a functional microtransaction system. I think that's my real big problem with it, which is why we dropped down to a 4 out of 10. And as such, one of the things I have been telling people I'm going to do for this, I do give a price ranging, what I think the game is worth as far as value. And I would say for a 4 out of 10 for a game that was originally $60, don't buy this game unless it's $25 or less US, because it's not worth it. The maximum I might consider this game would be up to $30, but even then, I'd still say $25 or less is about where you're going to get any value out of this game to make it feel like you've actually spent the appropriate amount of money for the quality of the game you're getting. And that's a sad place for a AAA game from EA and BioWare, isn't it? Well, that's all for this time, folks. I would like to thank everyone again for watching. If you like the video, feel free to hit like. If you want to see more reviews like this, feel free to go ahead and hit subscribe. As always, I am the Brain Damage Gamer. Game on.
Bob! We tried to quit Phylum, dude.
Don't like being sat on, huh? I know.
Follow closely. Do not try to explore the city or interact with anyone. Ephra's guards will use force if necessary.
Ephra, I feel... Ephra, what this alien says is extraordinary.
Sounds like you've been hanging around me too long.
You talk too much.
Hi, what y'all doing? Shaking hands? Looks like you're shaking hands. Yep, definitely shaking hands. So upon pressing escape, you get greeted with this. It's the background for the menu, but all of the text is gone.
Focus defenses here and here. The Ket have been quiet for too long. See? No reason we can't be civilized.
Oh, I don't get paid enough for this. Cleanup is not my function.